Hey everybody, this is Colleen and I'm here with Gina today, and we are going to talk about our paranormal class that we're putting on over at ISU. Is it like officially the College of Technology? Is that what it is?
It's at the College of Technology, but it's, I think, under the continuing education, and it's for students and non-students. So
yeah, and it's one of those. It's like not since it's not accredited. Yeah. It's $50 for the class, and it's 6 weeks. And so we talked quite a while ago about doing something like this in the community to help people learn about the paranormal and help them learn a little bit about how to become investigators if they want to start their own team. We do have our own team, but we welcome we welcome teams. Yeah. I mean, we did have on our first class, we'll kind of get into it, but we had somebody start their own team. And I think that's fabulous. We don't want to do this forever as far as investigations. It's exhausting. I enjoy them, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's more than enough to go around out here that you don't need to be competitive and you can help each other instead of,
Yeah.
There's enough negativity. We don't need that. We need to help each other and learn from each other.
Well, and help the community. A lot of people have situations in their homes that they don't know how to handle. And if we're all like, oh, I talked to them first, and, all of that garbage.
Yeah.
It's like the whole point of it is to help everybody.
Yeah.
Give people the opportunity to experience things that they haven't, or to go into a home where they are and, educate them on what's happening so that they're not so afraid or they feel more empowered.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't think the competitiveness, I don't enjoy. I did when I was younger. I don't like it anymore. It's not. I'm tired.
I'm competitive with myself.
That's
it's like, be my guest.
Right. So we decided to do the course, and it's very limited in size. I think the first class we were at 20 people. We brought it down to 15 because we found that 20 people is like herding cats on an investigation. So 15 is still going to be herding cats, but not as many cats. So we start off pretty slow. And then, we're teaching people about the paranormal and all of the senses that we use, right? Or that you're born with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, some people call them gifts, some people don't, but. And
double-edged sword.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. We teach them kind of the huge umbrella of paranormal. And then we focus on the investigations, give them just enough knowledge that they can then start research and understand maybe a little bit more, have a good foundation underneath them, and then they can keep going. Yeah.
And to be able to, I think, work with people that have the knowledge and experience is like hands-on training, and a lot of people have no problem getting their own stuff and just jumping in and doing it. But sometimes the brainstorming part of it, the understanding, okay, yeah, you can spend $8,000 on equipment, or you can spend, $500, whatever. And realizing that equipment is not infallible. Intuition is not infallible, and learning to really utilize what you have and enhance it rather than think you have to have every single thing, to start.
Yeah, you see these shows on TV and they have just overwhelming amount of equipment, and you got to realize that there's a producer behind them. Mm-hmm. There's money behind those shows that help. And one of the things that we try to teach people and remind them of is if you have 8 cameras on an investigation and you're there for 6 hours, somebody's got to review each camera all 6 hours. And on a TV show, that's fine because they have people who will do it. And they'll cut to them and they'll say, and they'll show the investigators, oh yeah, we reviewed this. But they probably didn't review it. Right. And someone else review it. We have to do all of that. So we've gotten to the point where we're doing more live investigations, live stream, mm-hmm. and taking photos, but we're not we're not doing these enormous reviews and making these big videos anymore because we just don't have the time.
Well, not only that, the equipment fails sometimes, or the paranormal stuff messes with it. So you've recorded all this stuff, and then there's nothing on the tape or on the, the video camera footage.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know, sometimes I think the in-person live is kind of cool. It's neat to have something caught on camera, but just because it's not caught on camera doesn't mean it didn't happen, doesn't mean you didn't experience it. So there's definitely pros and cons either way. I'm perfectly happy with not having all of that other work to review it.
Yeah, because we're just so busy. So we bring in all of our equipment, and so this is our second class that we're running right now, and we bring in all of our equipment, and we try to have. The first class, we only had like one hands-on day, and then the investigation and the critiques that came back said more hands-on with the equipment. Great. So now we're going to have like 3 hands-on and an investigation. So I think that will help people become more familiar with the equipment and how it works. People seem to be enjoying the class. We enjoy the people.
Yeah. Well, one of the neatest things that I have found is most of the people in the class have either had some pretty serious paranormal experience in their life, whether it was a child or currently. A lot of them have their own gifts that maybe they've been afraid of or didn't know what to do with or how it worked or felt overwhelmed from it. So there's lots of different components that we can address and help them. But it's almost every single class, people are like, I kind of have intuition. Yeah. Oh, I see how that can play into that. And
yeah, people write off a lot of stuff that happens. And I think it's human nature. You're like, okay, that door must have closed by the wind. And then all the windows are shut, or whatever. So I think people tend to write it off a lot because they don't want to spook themselves. Or
I think that's a big one. And I think that some of our skeptics have had experiences and they have, as one quote unquote, chose to not believe it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is scary, especially when you were a little kid and things happened. I mean, and it's funny because you think, oh, well, that's typical television. Yeah, it is typical television, but it's on television because that happens. The thing in the closet, the feeling touched by something under the bed, the things falling, off a shelf or flying across the room. Yeah, it doesn't always happen, but it happens on shows because it happens in real life. Mm-hmm. On a show, you have to remember, they're trying to get ratings. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get views. And so they may enhance reality or paranoia or paranormal or any of it because they want it to be shock value and all of that, which it is kind of shocking when you're sitting somewhere and something comes flying across the room, but it doesn't happen at every investigation. So
it rarely happens on an investigation. Actually, most of the things that we get are EVPs.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get shadows and apparitions or movement, but not often.
Yeah. Well, and kudos to my fellow mediums out there that on every investigation they get possessed.
Yeah. So that's
definitely one of the things I try to teach people how to prevent. That is not necessarily something you want to happen. But yeah, there's a couple shows and it's like every time they get possessed by one of the spirits in the home. Yeah. So that doesn't happen on a regular basis.
No. So we go through the ranges of senses that we can be born with and abilities and gifts that we're born with, and how to use them on an investigation. We use a lot of the history of our investigations and some of the situations we've gotten involved in that we didn't want to be involved in. Yeah. How to protect yourself, how to ground yourself, one of the things that we teach people is how to look people up on
to make sure
that the client is safe. You don't know. I mean, you don't know these people 90% of the time. You don't know, so you need to make sure you're safe. Protect your team.
Because there is much more danger to come from living people than a ghost or a spirit or an entity or whatever. Yeah, it can be frightening and unnerving because the door just slammed for no reason. Yeah, that can be unnerving, but the door just slammed. Doors slam all the time. When you're like physically threatened by somebody living, that's much more likely to cause you harm than a spirit or a ghost. And yeah, people get pinched, people get pushed, people get scratched. Not every single time.
Right.
Not usually that it draws blood.
No.
You may feel that, or you may see like the red mark on your skin, but it's not like life or death. We have to rush you to the hospital to get stitches. That would be something a human would do, not a ghost. So
it was interesting last night here at the house. I had some people over, and I didn't bring it up at the time because there was kids here, and I didn't want. Well, one of them was too young to know what was going on, but the other one would have if she overheard it. So I didn't want to discuss it. But we were sitting around the counter, and my dad likes to play a lot of tricks in this house, particularly in the kitchen. He likes to hang out over there. And I was standing at the counter. I think the kids were sitting at the counter, and we were just chit-chatting, everybody drinking some wine and having a good time. And something just pushed me like that. I mean, I could definitely push, And I'm wondering if, because I didn't have the roll top down in the kitchen, my dad couldn't pop it up. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes you guys feel like there's some things, some people in here, and I don't feel them at all. I tend to tune things out in this house, but I don't know that it was anybody else. I thought it was probably my dad, but I didn't want to freak the young lady who was sitting at the counter out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But so those things happen all the time. We all have doors. I bet all of you have had something paranormal in your house at some point. Whether you tuned into it or not is a different story. Mm-hmm. But people who want to become investigators, they need some sort of
a foundation or like a resource.
Yeah, and it's hard because paranormal teams get real defensive about bringing people on. And I understand that because it's very time consuming to train people, and then they bail out on you, or they don't show up when they're supposed to.
Or you take someone into someone's home and one of their possessions disappears and maybe ended up in someone's pocket.
Yeah. So yes, that's another reason why we teach that we never go alone.
Yeah.
In anywhere. Number one priority is safety. Number two, keep an eye on each other.
Yeah.
I mean, good fences make good neighbors, right?
Yeah.
So if there's somebody standing there with you, somebody's less likely to steal. And we always do background investigations on the members of our own team. So just to make sure. And if things come up, you address them very quickly. And, thankfully, not to my knowledge, have we ever had a team member steal anything, do anything like that.
No, but I've heard of other people. And you have to wonder, was it the homeowner setting them up? Mm-hmm. Or was it actually somebody took something? I can't remember if I was personally involved in it, but somebody was talking about how it was sitting on top of the dresser and it was an antique pocket knife or a coin or some small thing, and it disappeared. And it's like, well, we have lots of cameras, I don't remember that it was your investigation. It could have been somebody else telling a story about it, but it's like that is, we don't charge to do this. And I don't believe that people have an innate dishonesty about them. Most people, but yeah, the background checks are huge. I believe we had a registered sex offender one time that was...
you wanted on the team.
Yeah. He came on an investigation with it. Wasn't it the guy that had lived in a facility and had...
Did he?
I think he came on one. And then we realized, but, it's like, that's fine. He is in a supervised position.
He did not come on an investigation.
Yeah.
Because he had to have a supervisor. That's what clued us in.
Yes.
That somebody, there was like a monitor who was always with him.
Yeah. Because people, especially that have any kind of disability, whether it's mental, physical, whatever, they don't often want to keep them in the jail systems. Mm-hmm. So they put them into these housing situations where they have somebody that supervises them 24 hours a day.
Actually, I think we did do an investigation, but it was his own family's home.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
I didn't go on that one. I was out of town or something was going on.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I thought he
so it was his own family's home. And then, and they all knew that he was a sex offender, and they never said anything to us.
And in their own home, none of us are children, but my underage daughter was on that one. But the thing is, you don't know whose home you're going to go into. And so it's important to know that you don't have somebody that's not supposed to be around children under the age of 18, and they have their 7-year-old. They're investigating the house. So
there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just protect yourself, number one, protect your team, number one. You don't, not to say that everybody on this planet is, like people that have made bad choices are bad forever and ever, but you can't take the chance with something like that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, it could have been a completely innocent situation, like a dating situation, and one was over 18 and one wasn't. Right. Mom and dad got upset. Or it could be some pedophile who targets little children. Because unfortunately, our judicial system doesn't necessarily
tell you,
separate out.
Yes.
A sex offender is a sex offender is a sex offender. So.
Right. So there's a lot of things in this class that we go through, and then the class generally gets to meet the whole team, which I enjoy. And that was the big thing on the critiques, was that they loved the fact that it wasn't just me in front of the class. It's the whole team, and everybody has a different perspective. So some people may click with you, or click with me, or click with Tim.
Yeah.
And
well, and there's so much diversity in what, I am not a technologically inclined person at all.
Right.
Ask when we've tried to do podcasts and I couldn't upload or download or reload or do any loading of anything. So, but I have very sensitive intuition and all of that kind of stuff, where other people, they might have some intuition and different things that go on, but they know how to run a program or how to hook up equipment or how to download the equipment. And I'm like, I short it out when I touch it, which is probably what you were doing.
Yeah, the last class I touched the computer and it just went poof. Yeah. So I don't know. I got to call them. But anyway, I enjoy the class. And I would encourage you, if you're a paranormal investigator and you have a team, maybe work with your local community college or college and see if they have adult education courses and put together some kind of class. I was actually shocked when I got a hold of ISU.
Yeah,
I got a hold of it, and within an hour, I had an email and said, when can you do this? It was overwhelming, positive, because I thought, they're going to laugh this off. They're going to think we're, bunch of nut jobs.
We want Dutch oven cooking.
Yeah. Because these classes, there's what were they doing the other night? Some kind of dancing?
They have square dancing or,
cooking classes, have everything.
Your basic waltz and foxtrot and all that kind of stuff. Which,
and I've taken a bunch of art classes because they're fun. But I thought they would poo-poo this, and it was so the opposite. I was so pleasantly surprised at the reception we got.
Well, and the class filled up like that.
Yeah, they said it was like they went online, and it was instantly full. And so it was that has been, it's kind of an ego boost to let that, but it's not the ego. It's knowing that we're providing something to the community that they need, that they want.
Yeah.
So you got to remember, paranormal investigations is, number one, it's first and foremost the client. It's, what does this client need? We used to investigate almost everything, and now we've got it down to where, we don't investigate as much, because you learn through the years that most of the time people just want to talk about their experience or connect with a certain individual on the team, like Gina or Susie or Tim or somebody who can help them one-on-one, because that's more what they need than a whole bunch of strangers coming to their house and recording stuff. There's still people who want investigations, but it's a lot of times they talk themselves out, not out of wanting the investigation, but they realize they don't really need it. They're not being hurt.
Yeah.
We talk to them. They're not being hurt. They're not, no one's living in fear after they talk through the situation.
Well, it is. It's definitely an empowerment. And that is one of my biggest goals when I meet with people is some people get starstruck over you're a psychic, you're a medium. But it's knowing that whatever just shut my door wasn't trying to kill me. It was maybe trying to get my attention. It was maybe whatever. And empowering them to be like, this is my home. Do not wake me up in the middle of the night. Do not go and bother my children with the door. If you want to be here, be here. If you don't, then you need to leave. This is the land of the living. And when you can give people that ability to stand up in their home, I remember somebody and that something was in their house doing something. And I said, so if your neighbor came over every night at 3 a.m. and was like, hey, wake up. You awake? Come on. Would you be like, okay, wake me up? Or would you be like, get the heck out of my house? What are you doing? And that's what you need to tell the spirit. But I can't see them. It's like, it doesn't matter. If they're trying to communicate with you, they can see you, feel you, hear you, touch you, whatever. You are the owner of your home, whether you rent it or you own it. And if you're not going to let random strangers just come strolling through your house, why would you let a spirit?
Right.
You know, I didn't know I could do that. It's like, yes, you can do that. And some of them are a little stubborn. And then that's when we come in and hit them with the big guns. I try not, well, it depends. If we have a situation where children are being affected negatively and like maybe scratches or pinches where the kids are really scared, then I go in full steam. And there's not, we don't get a second chance.
No.
But for the most part, giving them like the old saying, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day, but you teach him how to fish and he never goes hungry. Teaching them what you can do to clear your house or what you can do to empower your children or to empower yourself to feel safe.
Right.
And then they share that with other people. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity to educate and to bring peace to situations that can be disturbing. But it's not that it's because it's horrible. It's because I can't see it. I don't understand it. I'm not sure what to do. Am I in danger? Because we all have that like fight or flight that is part of our genetics of being a human. And so often if we can't explain it, the fear is what takes the forefront.
Yes. And I don't know that, I think that most people that come to this class don't necessarily want to form a team. This is interesting to them and they have no way to learn it in person.
Yeah.
And,
or experience it, knowing that they're safe.
No, yes, exactly. So, and then the last night of the class is always an investigation. So it's either in a building or outside. This time we're planning on outside, but I'm going to have to develop a standby just in case we have nasty weather. Like today we have a lot of thunderstorms. And so I've got to have two options ready to go.
Well, the other thing we need to make sure is there's very direct rules.
Yes.
Because there's a huge difference between we're all inside of this building versus there's 3 acres that we can be on and we don't go by ourselves or we don't go down by the water.
Yes,
people are aware of where we are and what we're doing.
Yes. So I think that's what draws a lot of people to the class is they know that the last night's the investigation. So I think if you're out there and you're thinking about taking a class or you want to develop a class, do it. Just do it. And like we're learning as we go along what people want because we get a critique at the end of the class. It's very important. We read them. Like we read the last ones and I took them to heart. Like what do we need to improve on? And I think offering the community this is amazing. And we make connections with people. That's the huge thing. We make connections with people. You've always taught me that people come in and out of your life when you need them or they need you. Right. Yep. And so people, particularly I'm thinking of one couple in the class right now, they really needed to meet you. Yeah. That right there, that instant connection between.
And what a coincidence where we all just sat. It's funny. There's no such thing as coincidences. No. I mean, there's things that are like, wow, that's a coincidence. Is it though? Is it really? Well, like our last class, a person had called you because of something they experienced in their home. And myself and a couple other people went to their home, helped them out, talked about it a little bit, Colleen announced she was doing the class. They were the first one to register, brought some other people with them that they work with. They've started their own team. I've been contacted by the original person again to go through helping him with his gifts. Part of what he sensed in his home was because he had the ability to sense it. And a lot of times people get afraid of that and they try to shut it down. Well, the good news and the bad news is sometimes that doesn't work. That can be a really good thing because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have that ability. And sometimes it's a really bad thing because it does shut it down. And that might be something that can help you to make better decisions or to do or not do certain things. But it's so cool because he was afraid enough to reach out to us that something was happening in his home, came to the classes, was so excited about it, he's met with me a couple times and we've done one-on-one work with his gifts, that they started their own and, ran into some problems at his job and wanted to brainstorm with me on what I thought might be going on, what I thought. And I said, do you want me to come? And he's like, no, I want to try to deal with this first. Where he couldn't even deal with his own home first. Yeah. He could have. He was afraid. He was.
Well, and sometimes you don't lack the knowledge.
Yeah, that's the whole thing is if you don't understand it or you don't have the confidence that, I'm just hearing things. It's just my imagination. Am I losing my mind? We've had people that literally have said, I thought it was going crazy. Yeah. And it's like, well, we probably are, but you have something in your house too.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, that's the most incredible part of it.
It makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
And we reach out to this young man and we told him, if you need equipment for your investigations, you can borrow ours. Just get it back to us in a week.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like, I think the fact that they've started and they're taking off with this is just amazing that we were able to help them.
Yeah. Because they may not have ever done it.
Not ever. And because a lot of people have fear. It's like, look, this isn't an exact science. You learn every time you go somewhere. You learn maybe a little bit more than you knew before. None of us know exactly what's happening. None of us exactly have an answer.
Yeah. Well, there's some pretty gifted psychics and mediums on our team. And in the example of the gentleman that I was talking about, 3 of us went to his home. 2 picked up on one spirit. I picked up on something completely different. And guess what? We were all right.
Mm-hmm.
There were the combination of things. And the crazy thing is he was able to validate it. You're absolutely right. There's this. Or the other 2 found what was part of the problem with the other. And it was like the fate thing, when you trust fate and you trust your intuition and you go into a situation, we could have been I sensed this. Well, we sensed that. Well, I don't feel that, so I'm not sure. Well, then you're wrong. We don't go through that because we can all go watch a movie and someone says, what was your favorite part?
Mm-hmm.
We're all going to have a different favorite part.
Yeah.
And that's with this too, it's a group effort to help find the best solution to empower people with their own gifts, or if they don't have gifts, what they can do we all have, it's like singing. We can all sing. Some of us are really good. People are born that sing like an angel. Others can take classes and become phenomenal. Others can't carry a tune in a bucket, but they can still sing happy birthday. It's the same thing. We all have an ability with our intuition to sense things or feel things that are not a physical thing. But if we're aware, that's what that means, then we can build it like building muscles when you exercise, and the stronger you get, the easier it is. The easier it is, the more you do it. The more you do it, the stronger you get. The easier, and it just builds on itself. So it's a really, it's a really great opportunity for others, but it's a great opportunity for us too.
Yeah.
To fill a need.
So if you're in the Pocatello area and you're curious about the class and are thinking about maybe doing something like this, it'll be offered, I think, twice a year. So we do it over the winter, that winter class. And then I think it starts in September, the end of September, October-ish, and went through November.
And then
January.
Because I think they do it fall, spring, and summer. But I don't think every class did a summer. We just had such a...
Did we start in the winter?
We started like the first weekend.
What was our second class? That was our first class?
That was our first and our second.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So there's probably, I don't know, I guess 3 classes a year. And then we'll keep doing it as long as people sign up because there's a need and a want. And trust me, we don't make any money off of it. Because ISU, we make a little bit of money and then everybody gets to go out, or we do, like we put it in the bank account and for travel, but it's not much.
It's not a lucrative.
It's not and we don't make money on our investigations. So, but anyway, yeah, you can sign up at ISU, the Adult Continuing Education building online. You can sign up, look for their mailers. I know the summer session, that was the confusing part for a lot of people. They didn't think, they don't mail out a catalog for the summer courses, but for fall and winter they do. So we'll be in there. Yeah. And we'll limit it again to 15. And that's probably the maximum we'll ever go, unless we end up splitting up into 2 locations. That would be the only way we could come up with more, and we'll talk about doing that. But hope you enjoyed this, and we're going to sign off. Okay. All right.
You've been listening to Speaking of Spirits, powered by Pocatello Paranormal Research in Pocatello, Idaho. Thank you for joining us today. We're glad you could be here. If you're enjoying the podcast, please do us a favor and go to whatever platform you are listening to the podcast on and give us a review. We prefer the 5-star reviews. This helps us know how we're doing, and it helps others to find the podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next podcast.